Hello, welcome everybody to another episode of the Bank Marketing Show. So glad to have you with us. And I'm Chris Bates, one of the hosts. And welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Chris. I'm Dan Navalis. Good to be here. Good to, well, I guess I can't see anybody, but good to have everybody back listening to us.
Sometimes I wish we could see everybody,
Yeah.
especially being well into our fourth year, our fourth season here, and listenership has grown and following has grown and all of that. It would be fun, but we'll just have to let you guys keep listening and watching us.
Yeah, our fourth year of screaming into the void and hoping somebody hears us.
That's right.
We know you are because we hear from you guys time to time, and we keep coming back. So
yep. Well, and to that point, be sure to take a minute to subscribe on whatever channel or platform you're listening on. If you haven't done so, that kind of builds the momentum and the algorithms and lets us know that you guys are out there. And as we continue to serve value and work to pour into you guys and your profession, your career, your practice, your bank, it'll help you as well. So, and Dan, I'm looking forward to our discussion today. Speaking of helping folks, this is another one of these topic areas for us that's really applicable, irregardless of your bank size or where you are. But we all understand the evolution of things as they're happening around AI faster and faster. And one of the things that we see continually really evolving quickly is AI search. And Google has even shifted, a lot of its returns and all of the, ChatGPT and Perplexity and Claude and all of them. So as we're doing that, Dan, I think what you and I wanted to offer today are to provide some very specific things that you guys as bank leadership and marketers can do today that you don't necessarily need us as an agency. Although we're doing a lot of this and we're doing extensive projects, and Dan, your agency and mine are co-working on a number of these projects as well, to doing far more extensive SEO, AEO work. But yeah, I'm excited for some of these. This is going to be one of the kind of grab your pencil and take some quick notes for our listeners today, Dan.
Yeah. There's the conferences I've been to recently, and just looking through industry, various newsletters and stuff across the industry. It's a lot of talk about being visible to AI engines. Our last couple episodes have focused on different parts of this, and we wanted to, I think, today break it down into, if you hired an agency like ours to do an AEO project, there'd be a comprehensive set of activities that would be months long, touch a lot of different parts of the bank, but we're biased, of course, but those are good. Those are good projects to do. But there's a few pieces of it that are relatively straightforward for each bank to do, and then get you a bit down the path, get your feet wet into AEO, give you a leg up on your competitors, start to see some of the benefits of it, and then help you make the decision of what kind of focus on this do you need long term. So we wanted to today walk through some of these steps. I think our last episode, we talked about, can AI even find your bank, right? And how to kind of assess that. This is more about like, what are we going to do about it? What should you do about whatever you found last time?
Yep.
And with the LLMs getting better at code and getting more technical, some of this gets a little bit technical, but if you're able to make kind of changes, your content changes to your website, you'll be able to do a lot of the stuff we're talking about today.
Well, so what we're going to do, Dan, today is break this down into 4 key points. So 4 sections, if you will. And to remind all of you guys, our listeners, first of all, you can go to bankmarketingshow.com and click on this episode and look at the show notes. And we'll have some of the specifics and some notes in there. And also subscribe to the Bank Marketing Minute, which is our newsletter that we send out following this. It will have some follow-up information on this to make it a bit tactical for you as well, if you're not sitting on pins and needles with your pencil handy at the moment. Yeah. But so you teed this up, Dan, and the first point is you've got to I call it kind of turning on the dashboard. It's like in your car, you've got to see what's going on, right? So maybe you can describe that a bit.
No, it's, we talked a lot about this in our last episode. So before you can figure out what to do with it, with AI search, like you need to figure out how AI sees you and how it sees your competitors. Right. So the basic advice is go to a ChatGPT or Claude and just like search for your bank.
Yeah. Do an audit. Do an actual audit of how AI sees you.
Yeah. So we talked about that in the last episode, but the key takeaway here is like, do this from a couple of different angles. So think about consumers. You might go and type banks near me. You might go and type, what's the best bank near me? Or you might just go to AI and describe your problem. Like I want to buy a home. Help me understand what I need to have saved, what types of mortgages are available, et cetera. I want to I want to build a garage. I don't know. People might be asking the functional kind of problem-based questions as well. And you want to see what banks show up in the recommendations, what it's saying. As we've talked about, as you probably all know, like LLMs don't make up the information, and they pull it from websites. So if the information you're seeing is wrong or you'd answer it differently, like that's your opportunity to put the content out there that you want the engines to look at. So what you're doing in this first step is just sort of seeing where you show up, where you don't show up, how your competitors show up, and just kind of getting an understanding of the market out there. So a couple different angles, like search just specifically for banks, search by problems, search by specific bank products, and see what shows up. And I think that the competitors that show up in those answers are probably not the ones you think. We hear all the time from banks like, oh, well, we compete with these guys. Well, yeah, like on the ground you do. Yeah. But digitally, it's probably very different.
Yeah, brick and mortar competition can be very different than the digital world, which is where the world is going around. Yeah, now. So, yeah, I mean, it was a kind of a simple step-by-step process, I guess, in this first step is to audit is take your own URL, paste it into Chat or Claude or whatever it is that you're using, and ask specific questions along with it. Like, based on our website, who does our bank serve? What makes us different? Why should people bank here? Some of those, like you're saying, Dan, some of those key fundamental questions in the ways that people actually, what their concerns are or what their pain points are, those types of things, and ask, those questions as an audit of your website. And it's going to give you unbiased feedback, some of which you may not like, but that's good. That's informative. That's helpful. So to do that for your own bank and then refine that audit a bit and put in all the right prompting and then do that same audit process for 2 or 3 of your top competitors and see what it gives about them. And what you've done in this first phase or first step of this then is you've painted an accurate picture of what AI is seeing about your bank and your competitors. And believe me, the alarm bells will start to go off in different areas, and kind of, oh, wow, that's a key product area for us. And we've got nothing but demerits, or we're not showing up at all, or we're not informative in that area. From that to, oh, wow, our competitors, this is not a full competitive analysis, Dan, like we've talked about in other episodes. And again, something that you and I do as agencies, but it'll at least give you a snapshot.
Right. And the goal of it's not the same as we're just talking about being visible in the AI search, right? It's not creating a new brand strategy. Right. It's not, and we talked about like in our find the white space episode of like, what can you be talking about that no one else is? This is more of just like, what are you talking about, and do you show up for it?
Yep. What is it seeing and what is it not?
Yeah. And what are your, right. Because it's going to see, it's probably going to see the big banks that are in your area because they're doing more around this stuff. And it's probably going to tell you, hey, you compete with these guys on AI platforms more than you'd think in real life. Yeah. So it's really about like, you're not looking for anything in particular other than to just like do these searches, engage with it, and like, get a sense of how you appear and how you don't appear. which, goes to the second point
Yeah.
of like, then great, what do you do with that information?
Right. Now we're going to step into a to-do item. Yes.
Yeah. So the second point here, like one of the biggest levers you can do to show up more in AI right now, and if you're listening to this a year from now, maybe this has changed fully. But right now, mid 2026, like we are adding a lot of like FAQ sections to websites. AI LLMs like love structured content and answers to questions. And so once you've done your kind of audit of how you show up, how your competitors show up, you're going to get some ideas for how people ask AI engines for help and where you can kind of have those answers, right? So like I said a minute ago, the engines are not making up information. They're finding good structured information out on websites and presenting that to the user.
Yep.
And so if you would like to show up in answers to questions, like what's the best bank for small business loans, or what's, in our town, like that type of stuff, you can put an answer to that on your website, and the engines will find that.
Yeah. And Dan, to emphasize again, these are conversational questions. We've said this numerous times. Don't ask it and answer it like a banker. What is a HELOC? That's not, a HELOC, or maybe that's not the best example, but that's a banker term. What people are looking to do is, as you mentioned a minute ago, add on to their garage or pay their kids' college tuition or something, whatever it is that they're looking to do. And it's really crucial for, asking those conversational questions in ways that are important and specific to each product and service page. And so if, ask the question relative to small business loans on your small business loans page as you build out that FAQ. Yeah. So Dan, I think one of the important points here is being specific in the areas that you were just mentioning and humanizing those questions, but also being product and service specific. So if it's on a small business loans page, asking questions that small business owners are going to ask or that are going to resolve things for them, that's the content of that FAQ for that page, and lots of different ways to format that and lay that out. And AI can help you do that. But like pasting the URL to that product page in your AI engine, and then asking it what questions would a small business owner in Madison County ask about this account, or how would this account help a small business owner in this geographic area? And give it context.
Yeah, or feed the URL and ask it what questions would a customer have after reading this page? What do people normally ask AI engines around this stuff? And it'll
and hopefully whatever your website is, you have easy edit access, or work with an agency like us that hosts it, or your core, or wherever your website is based. Hopefully this isn't a major lift to get this FAQ content on these key pages, and probably start with your most important products.
Well, I was just going to say, it's like, it's not, you don't have to have a million FAQs. It's pick your top few pages, which is probably for any bank, the personal checking, a business page, a business loans page. Pick 3 or 4. And then you're really only adding like a few questions to each. Say like 3 to 5 questions to each page, and a nice structured, most content management systems have a little like expandable, like accordion type of thing. Just really structured question, answer. And that's what the AI engines pick up on.
There you go.
And tuck it down to the bottom of the page, and that's really all you need to do. Some websites also like to add a full like FAQ page that asks like the bigger questions, or add it to the bottom of your homepage. Tell me about your bank. Like why should we bank here versus competitors? Like those types of questions. But the goal is a few questions on a few main pages.
There you go. Yeah. Well, and I know we're going to talk in a little while about some things to connect the AIs with reading that and your other content better and all that. So, but that's a later point. So that was point number 2. And now moving into number 3, this is this is a housekeeping item that is something in the SEO area that we have done and needed to do for years, and is still now crucial, Dan. And I'm glad that you and I kind of discussed this one, because I think it's important in there, is cleaning up your Google business profiles.
Yeah.
And be mindful, this is not just for your headquarters. This is for all of your locations. Excuse me, each of your locations separately.
Yeah. I'd argue now that you're going to get a better ROI, marketing ROI, from keeping your Google business profiles up to date with posts with new information than you do off of Facebook social media sites these days. Just because of how LLMs use the Google business profiles. It's not to stop posting on Facebook. Keep doing that.
Yeah.
Keep your social media stuff going. But I think a lot of banks treat the Google business profiles, okay, we've set it up, we put our drive up hours in it, we're good. We don't have to worry about it. And you kind of forget about it. But LLMs, and especially Google search, AI results, look, when you're searching for a service like banking, they heavily pull from the Google business profile. So use all the features you can, put up pictures, put up, make sure your hours are up to date, make sure your holiday hours are in there.
Your reviews, your Google reviews are crucial.
Push reviews. Yeah, because it'll pull those, when you're asking for the best bank.
Yep.
So start to treat your Google business profile as a regularly updated thing.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. It's not a set it and forget it, anymore. It's looking for or a smart move is adding content to it on a regular basis. And you mentioned social media content. I think the difference here is that with Google Business Profile, this is a good place to post something about a specific feature about a product or something like that that's not going to get a lot of play on social. But here it's informational, and ties directly to a specific place on your website, and it's business functional. And your offerings, those types of, and certainly your differentiators. And there are ways to continually add that to your Google business profiles, and it's foundational, no doubt.
Yeah. And they show up so often. I think a lot of banks that I've worked with on the review side think, oh my gosh, we need hundreds of reviews, and it's going to be this massive undertaking, and we don't want to spam our customers with asking for reviews. But when you're doing your competitive kind of review here, look at their reviews. You'd be surprised, right? I've got a bank that has a few really big competitors, big credit union, multi-billion-dollar, competitor that has a lot of reviews, but they're terrible.
Yeah.
And
because they haven't outweighed them with enough good reviews.
Yeah. Right. Well, this credit union is a 3.2 or 3.3 star rating on Google. And it's from hundreds of reviews, but that's way worse than, in a consumer's eyes. The number of reviews matters less than that star rating.
Yeah.
Right. So if you've got a 4.6, 4.7 with a couple dozen reviews, that's going to look a lot better than a 3.2 with hundreds.
There you go.
And most, and if you're talking about your similarly sized, community bank competitors, they probably only have a few reviews too, or a few reviews at a key location. And if you're setting up, what I tell my clients is, if you're setting up a process by which you get 2 or 3 new reviews a month, right? In 6, 8, 9 months, you're going to have 20, 30, 40. And that's probably enough to outnumber most of your competitors. So,
and that's per location. Keep in mind, each location has its own Google business profile and needs its own reviews. And Dan, I like to throw in, my team and I remind, our clients too, those reviews don't always have to be customers. They can be employees saying what a great place to work that it is with a 5-star review. It can be, in any number of things. It's your board members, it's family, it's friends, it's, others that know your bank, know your entity, and And what it is, it doesn't have to be a customer that just says, so excited about my mortgage loan that I just signed.
And you'll notice like this is not a AI specific thing. This is probably the same advice
Yes.
we had in our SEO episode a year or two ago, and we've talked about in is AEO is SEO dead, and get reviews. Focus on the reviews. Put business cards with the QR code to your review link, like at the teller windows. Staple them when loans close. You're just going for like two a month.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to sustain you. And Google likes to see new stuff all the time. You get your employees and get like 30 new reviews in a week by asking your employees to do it, but Google likes to see the continuous drip over time.
Yeah.
And right, this is nothing new. It's just it's just becoming kind of even more important because the models look at it.
Yeah,
and people will ask the LLMs like, find me a bank with good reviews.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good. That's probably a more common question than we can realize. That's right.
Yep.
Well, good. So all of that as our third point was around Google business profiles. And then our fourth one is a little more technical, Dan, but I think equally as important or more so than any of them about adding schema. And if you don't know what schema is, you can just Google that. But schema is basically telling Google and the AIs, all of that, what your content, it's connecting it. I've heard schema described as a translator. So it's making sure that the search engines know and understand and have the information that's on your website that you want it to know. Did I say that okay?
It's a chunk of code, not even really code, right? It's a chunk of structured text,
Mm-hmm.
With curly braces and semicolons and stuff like that sits on the code of your site. So it's not visible to human site visitors.
Yeah.
But it's visible to the engines, and they look for it. And so there's different types of schema. It's called like markup. So if you know like HTML markup, the idea is it's similar. It's not really new. It's just being used in different ways by the AI engine. So there's different types of schemas. You can have like an FAQ schema or a local business schema or a location. And what it does is it just takes, it's a chunk of code that takes the content from your page and structures it in a way that's easy for the LLMs and other robots that crawl the web to parse.
Yep.
It's just basically telling them what's on the page, but the LLMs love it. 90% of banks, maybe even more percentage of community banks, just don't have this.
Yeah.
It's not something that comes from the typical content management system. It's not something that your web team would normally do as part of your site. It's something that gets done in through like a longer term AEO project.
Yeah.
But when and there's probably dozens of schemas that you should add to your site. But the recommendation here is like, as you add more, it starts to get hard to manage. The recommendation here is have a schema on those pages where you've added the FAQs. Have one or two kind of main ones on your homepage, on your location pages that help the LLMs tie it to your Google business profile. So we can't on a audio format podcast sort of tell you exactly how to do this, but the good news is that like LLMs are really good at telling you
how,
and they will write the schema code for you, and they will tell you exactly where to put it. And so it's if you have the LLM scan your site or scan a page, you can ask it, well, what we're doing AEO, like what kind of scheme, what types of schema should I have on this page? Great, scan the page, write the schema markup for me, and then you can literally copy paste it into like the code injection section of your CMS.
Yep.
And it will tell you step by step. You could probably tell it. We have Banno, we have whatever, we have just WordPress, whatever the CMS, and it will kind of tell you, it'll guide you through exactly how to do it. And so it gets a little tricky. Like you've got to be kind of have the technical aptitude and not be scared of it. But the worst case is you paste it in, you refresh your web page, and it messes something up. You can remove what you just pasted in. You're not changing the structure of your website. You're injecting a little block of markup code, and it's pretty, we're recommending it on here is pretty foolproof if you're having your LLM kind of tell you what to do. But it's also easily reversible. Yeah. but
Yeah,
it
it
makes
may
a big
take a little bit
impact.
of coordination with your IT, all of that, but it's a very worthwhile set of efforts,
Yeah.
to do this. And like you said, the AIs can help you through the process, really. And then, if I have it correct on the back end, you and I mentioned this in our pre-show a little bit too, but you can use Google rich results test, and it will look at it for you and tell you what schema's there or not there,
Yeah.
or you can see that. So you can actually use that as either a front end or a back end
Yeah.
test to kind of show you the speedometer, so to speak.
Yep. Yep. In a longer term AEO project, we're probably adding several schemas to most of the pages on the
Yes.
site. And then, but it's in the DIY version, it's definitely add one for your FAQs, probably add one to your location pages, but your LLM will give you a good, it's pretty straightforward to do with the LLM. You just need to know to do it. And that's our goal here, is to tell you, you need to know that you should be doing this. But, it's not depending on your bank setup and size, right? You might want to coordinate with your IT or your web development company. They may do this for you, but a lot of web dev companies aren't in the AEO game, and a lot of AEO companies aren't in the web development or web design game. So it just depends on your setup. But if you don't have one of those things and you do a lot of the website updates yourself, it's pretty easy to do with your AI.
Yep. Well, Dan, what I love about the 4 steps, the 4 processes that we've just gone over, is that none of them require a ton of budget. Now, some of you may, work with a marketing entity or agency like us that does some of this, can do some of this for you or whatever. But inherently, these are things you can either do yourself or with minimal additional lift. So not a budget. These are not major time consuming things. These aren't things that take up weeks or even significant days of your time, especially done well and done right. So these are doable. Dan, you just described it as DIY. It actually, the things we've talked about today are that, and they're impactful. So it's not necessarily, you're not going to pole vault to the very top of all searches in all key areas, but it'll make a big difference. And in the community banking industry, the odds of this putting you ahead of some of your competitors in some key online conversations is pretty likely.
Yeah. Well, and if you're reading just like non-industry specific articles about AEO and SEO, right? Most of those are written for like e-commerce companies and local service businesses that like bigger local service that live and die on it, right? And most banks, like, there's a big benefit to AEO and SEO, but like your bank is not surviving based on your web traffic that day. Right? Like you want more leads from your site, but that's not your entire business. So I think a lot of the advice that's out there is a lot more intense. Like the stuff we're talking about in this episode is a lot of the benefit that banks need. If you're a bigger bank, you're in bigger markets where there's more competition, there's going to be a bigger lift from a more intensive AEO project. But like the reason we're kind of doing this episode, right, is like for banks in smaller markets, we'd rather, you're probably not going to pay for an intensive AEO project, right?
Yeah.
We'd rather you do some of this stuff and get some of the benefit of it. And maybe you'll see the value and say, yeah, there is, and we want to do more. But I think like it's easy to read the AEO advice that's out there and think, oh my gosh, this is a huge lift, and get kind of overwhelmed by what needs to be done. So we want to just break it down here into, these are the 4 things that if you did nothing else, you should do, and you'll get a nice little bump, and there's more upside available. But this is a great way to get started that you can do on your own.
Yeah, Dan, I think the encouragement here, as you said, is to do these steps. And I like what you mentioned, which is take screenshots of before and after, those searches and the outcomes and all of that. And, you'll see that This is something that can, like I said, have impactful results in this and can show you some things that you need to be touching regularly. Again, even the things that we've talked about today are not a one and done. Now, they're crucial to at least get a good start. And I think we've given a good guideline for that today. So, but got to go in and touch it more often as you continue to update content on your website and, or new products and services come along, or new locations. Things need to continually be touched, but these are some key areas that'll make an impact because things are moving so fast, Dan. And I think the more that we're delivering and we're having conversations with you guys as our listeners about things that you can really do about it and not get behind the wave, but stay, if you're not on the very front, at least stay on the wave, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and right. And the point is that so many community banks are a little behind the wave on this, that there's a big benefit into just doing a little bit.
There you go. Yep. Cool. So. Well, great. Well, as we mentioned on the front end, go to bankmarketingshow.com. We'll have more, we have show notes and more information in this episode. You can sign up for the Bank Marketing Minute newsletter where you'll get some more around this, or reach out to us at contact@bankmarketingshow.com. That actually does come to us. And Dan and I love to have conversations, answer questions. It's been so cool the last couple of years as the show has grown, Dan, to hear from more and more people. So we want to continue to encourage that as all of this information will benefit you guys.
Yeah. And happy to chat about this stuff, give you some tips, answer questions. Please reach out.
There you go. All right. Well, great one, Dan. Well, thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. To go deeper or get access to some of the valuable nuggets from today's show, go to bankmarketingshow.com. There you'll find episodes, links to resources, and much more. Be sure to subscribe wherever you find your podcasts. And join us next time. To bankmarketingshow.com. There you'll find episodes, links to resources, and much more. Be sure to subscribe wherever you find your podcasts. And join us next time.